This is going to be the instruction video for NTI's days 28 and 29. So still in populations and resources, and we are moving on to chapter 2, lesson 1. So chapter 2 is about energy and changes to population. So we're going to move into the first lesson here, which is reproduction and energy. First thing you're going to do is the warm-up, and you're going to see down here there is a pretty cool picture of tadpoles. And down here, you're going to write some ideas about what you think would make the number of births in a population increase. What are some things that could cause that to happen? And then hand in. On this second one, the reading, I'm actually not going to have you do anything in number 2, but there is an important vocab word. So reproduction, the process of creating offspring. And like I said, you're not doing anything here. The second page has the article link, and it says what you're going to read about, but I'm not going to have you do that either. I'm going to have you skip straight to 3. And down here, you're going to see that there's stuff about annotations. Skip that. And there's another vocab word here, energy, ability to make things move or change. In this lesson, it has reproduction and energy having a close relationship, which we'll talk about in a second. And then the third one is where I'm going to have you actually do something. So you're going to see the articles pop up here. You are going to read the intro, which is reproduction requires energy, and you are going to annotate it and highlight some important things. What role does energy play in reproduction and important things like that. So remember, when you annotate, you can highlight and you can make notes. So I could say something like energy, if I could spell, that would be helpful. Energy is important and is required to reproduce. So you could say something like that, and if you saved it, it will be right there, and I'll be able to see it in there. Then after you do the intro, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you're going to click next, and you're going to choose one other organism to read about. So we have the salmon, there is penguins, there is firefly, and I think there's one more, elephant seals, and I think that is it. So you're going to choose one other organism to read about. So you'll read the introduction and one other animal. And I want you to annotate on both. On the animal that you choose, I want you to annotate about what makes that organism special. How do they reproduce? Is there something different that they do? What is their population like? Anything like that you can annotate on, and make sure you click hand in. You don't really have to do this. That's not really anything that's important. Moving on to the homework. You are going to launch the simulation. And the instructions have you doing 3 populations mode, not using an iPad, and you are doing, once it loads, of course it'll take forever, so we'll go back to the instructions here. So the idea is that you're going to pick an animal and you're going to follow it until it reproduces. You're going to focus on what is happening to its energy when it does this. And you're going to do this for 3 animals total. And then you're going to write about it down here. Remember, focusing on the energy. When it reproduces, what happens to the amount of energy? Oh, still loading. So you'll do that down here. You'll write about it down here. And then over here, you're going to take what you learned from the article that you read and kind of talk about why you think this happens. Why do you think energy plays such an important role in reproduction? Why are you needing a bunch of energy to create more organisms? Still loading. Oh, here we go. So remember, you're going to be in 3 populations mode, and I'm going to zoom in. And I'm actually going to pause it because they move really quickly, so it's hard to pick an organism. So I'm going to pick this guy. And a couple things you want to look at. The ESMs right here, that is your energy storage molecules. And remember, that's what you're paying attention to. You want to pick an animal, follow it until it reproduces, and you're paying attention to this number. Is it increasing, decreasing? What is happening to it? That's the whole point. Once you figure that out, you're looking at 3 different organisms to kind of figure out, is that going up? Is that going down? What is the pattern? What are we looking at? So I'm going to run this. I'm going to follow this one and see what happens. So I can see the ESMs right here, 1310. So it is being eaten and that is decreasing. So that didn't work. I'm going to pause and I'm going to find another one. And I'm going to play and see what happens. See, that number's going down a little bit at a time. It's eating. Well, it goes back up when it eats. But now it's going back down again. And you can see, oh, it reproduces. And what happens to that number? It decreases. And then it increases again once the organism eats. So kind of play around the simulation, see what you think, see what patterns you can make with the energy and the different things that the organisms do. And make sure that you answer these questions in here and hand in. So a quick recap, you're doing the warm-up, you're doing the reading, but you're going to do it in the number 3. You're not doing anything in the number 2. You're going to do the reading in the number 3, and you're going to read the introduction and one other animal. Make sure you make some annotations, some notes about reproduction and energy and the main parts of the chapter. And then the homework, you're going to do that. The chapter 2 question is what can change the number of births in a population. So that's kind of our focus along with the energy and reproduction.